camera? Why are you staring at the pantry camera? No, back over here. Over here. Yeah. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Hi, I'm Chef Jay Tay. Happy to see you all back. What is new? What is happening? I'm down to the last couple of sandy towel thingies. I need to wipe down this counter here in front of me before I get going with anything. Hopefully you've had a wonderful day. Happy Wednesday to all of you. Welcome in, Blake. Hello, Geoff. Hello, Soph. I was so tired this afternoon. Like, my brain was just fried after streaming earlier. I'm sort of surprised that I made it here, but the real struggle was getting up and going out and grabbing the last two things I needed for tonight. And after doing that and running around and all of that, I'm much more with it now. But say 90 minutes ago, I did not want to be awake. Hopefully the last day with that thing. Drinking my mildly chilled water. Okay, so we're doing Rosemary tonight. Rosemary. The plan for dinner tonight is sausages, sausage gravy, and rosemary cheddar biscuits for dinner. And dessert will be rosemary apple tart tatins. Welcome in, JK. And these two actually work together pretty well. I mean, obviously, to be absolutely traditional about it and old school about it, you would want some puff pastry or to make some puff pastry for the tart tatin. But I'm probably mispronouncing that. Anyways, welcome in, Nan Reader. Words. Talking. Normally you'd want, puff pastry. But since we're making biscuits already, I'm going to take the leftover scrap biscuit dough, roll that out with some added layerage of butter in with it, so making it a little bit more puff pastry-ish, and then using that for the dessert. So using up the scraps from one for the other. Brand new pound of coffee, and so I think I double ground here. Yeah, I have a habit of doing that when I put a new one in there, because I initially grind it when I put the beans in there to fill the hopper, and then I forget I have done that, and then do it again for my next coffee. So we got wetted filter with our coffee in there. 22 grams of coffee. A little bit heavy, I normally do. It's normally 19 to 21. And I way over poured my initial steep. Normally only want that about 100 grams for initially moistening everything. And we'll finish our pour now. Warm up my glass, my cup, my mug. Can't have my mug cooling down my hot coffee. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Cheers. Where to start with this evening's plans? I think we're going to do apples first. But before we get into apples, I want the rosemary prep for the apples. I'm getting these confused. I'm okay with that, like that. I want the rosemary chopped up for the biscuits, not for the apples. I got a couple of apples. These are cosmic apples. I didn't have a great choice at the place I went to, which I was sort of surprised by. But then again, it's not exactly apple season either. Put some of this key lime juice on these. Yeah, I think that was a great suggestion. Small dusting of salt. These are thankfully not all bruised up like the last couple of apples I've happened upon. Arsenic, anyone? I want to see how much sugar I should be doing with this. Going to take butter, hey there. We'll start melting the butter down. Going to need sugar. I think this is a good candidate for sugar in the raw. Except I don't have a bottle of, or a bag of sugar in the raw open. Huh. I guess we'll go brown sugar. With Superman glass, I have to foil coat all of the pieces of glass. I have to solder them all together. I have to solder the edges of it. I have to add hanging rings if I'm going to do so, if I choose to do so. And then I have to clean and polish the entire thing. So there's quite a bit still to go. Half cup brown sugar. Apples. Along with the lime juice. A couple sprigs of rosemary in there to infuse all of that. With all of that. Does your family like rhubarb? Is there a lot of rhubarb pie being made in your family? Or maybe just your sister really likes rhubarb? Right now I'm sort of picturing a somewhat reddish-haired lab. Okay, let's put the cane sugar back away too. And it's dough time. White and gray standard poodle. Ooh, Australian cattle dog might be like there's a fair number of rusty, brownish cattle dogs I've seen. Make sure I'm looking at the right stuff here. Yep. Ooh, we're in ads. Maybe I'll take that as a sign to take a break and sip on some coffee. Give everyone a close-up of that deliciousness bubbling away. Sweet. That's sort of a problem with me with dogs too, where most of the dogs that I'm interested in are probably way too hyper for me and would be like not a good match. I can smell the rosemary, by the way, just from chilling there on top and cooking through with all of it. It is most certainly infusing that. Now, see, that's not really the impression that I've had of poodles in my life. Like, I've sort of put poodles right there with corgis, in that, like, they're small and they're, in my experience, loud. Not necessarily, fearful, but, loud. And I'm not speaking of any recent dogs that I've recently met in recent years. Just in case someone thinks I'm talking about their dog, I'm not. tall ones. We're back from ad, so I am going to add some buttermilk powder in with our flour for our biscuits. Ooh. Those both popped up at the same time on my screen. That was close. So we got the rosemary here that we're going to do for our biscuits. And this is actually going to go straight into the biscuit dough. So we'll take our chopped up rosemary, add that in here. I'm still debating how I want to make these. There's two ways I could go about it. Either cupcake tins, or I guess there's actually three ways that I could go, but cupcake tins, or the 4-inch round springform pans that I have. The springform pans are more likely to leak. Well, they have a possibility of leaking, whereas you can't really leak through a solid piece of metal. Sort of. Unless you're talking about some forms of gases that apparently are... Like, I gotta go revisit that video. Steve Mold's last video. Where he showed that iron is... Steel, iron was, like, permeable by some gases. And this is the last you saw of the Rosemary, and all the rest of it went bad. There's no... Does it... Blake, there's a vote, or you can hang out and chat long enough to get enough sprinkles to have a themed one. I generally don't do cakes for that. That's quite an undertaking. Like, you're asking me to eat a carrot cake. I think there's a little bit of a language. I think you're probably not first English language. So there might be a little bit of a problem with me trying to explain it to you. Okay, salt, we need baking powder, baking soda. While the apples continue to cook. Need a little more flavor under those. Um, I think that was one of the ones that the LLM added. It's a lot of liquid for this. I'm going with it, though. I'm trusting it because I've made this recipe a half dozen times already. Yeah, no, that needs a bunch more flour in there again. It smells like rosemary in here. I do not smell apple. I do not smell sugar. I smell rosemary. Okay, that might be workable there. Yeah, I really like the smell of rosemary too. Would love it if my house smelled like rosemary all the time. It sort of conflicts with coffee, though. Coffee smells good too. But regardless, I just don't. It's just not a big hit as far as me using it in food. I think I don't do a ton of grilled foods. I think it suits grilled foods much more than a lot of other situations. I also cannot stand getting the pine needles in my food. Like, I do not like getting pine needles in my food. Just say no to pine needles in my food. I like barbecue grill food. I just don't do a lot of it because it's not very convenient for me at home. It's a lot of setup and a lot of breakdown and a lot of cleanup for, like I would want it to be like a party event or something like that. Just for me at home, it's a lot to do, especially without a dishwasher. And so I don't do it a lot. I like grilled foods. Just not feeling this coffee tonight. So we've got our dough chilling down. We're waiting on those apples to cook down enough that we can use them. We'll move those on the back burner. Not loving the price I got on this sausage. $13 a pound. Granted, it's fresh sausage and all that, but it's not commercially packed in mass. Borrow this for a moment. We're going to take one of these. Actually, we're going to take two of these and slice and remove the casings from them. Mine's out of the gutter. And because I have it to use, we'll use some rendered ribeye fat to cook our sausages tonight. This is also going to be the basis of our gravy. It's a rather malformed sausage there. Hi, Quinn. Are you just here in time for the sausages, or for the sweepstakes show that we're hearing the music to? Maybe a daytime soap? Flatten out already. I'm cooking these entirely way too slow. I just turned the heat way up. Coming up done. Hey, welcome in, Champlain. I need a hand towel. I threw all my hand towels in the wash the other day. Why aren't you getting any? Why aren't you getting any of the sizzle off of that mic? What happened there? Do you hear it sizzling, chat? I don't know why. It seems to be just completely cut off now. That mic isn't showing like it's doing anything. Have I overheated a microphone? Like, you can get it from my lav mic, but this thing over here ain't doing anything. Is this swapping for me either? I didn't do anything to change that. Oh, come on. And these are without the casing. It maybe got too loud for it, or I'm not sure what happened. Because You can smell the white wine in this now. Turn the heat off of the apples. I think we've cooked that down for the most part to the caramel and apples. I think we've got most of the moisture out of that. I'm going to pull the very cooked 2 pieces of rosemary out, hopefully to keep all of the needles out of my final apple dish. Put the flavor there. Next, we're going to make our roux with this. Salt. MSG. Pepper. Lots of pepper. And a little bit of garlic. Alright, we're going to move this off of the counter. We're going to that there. We need to work on biscuits next. And turn this heat way down low. You're fine, buddy. Scaring the hummingbirds. Aw, what? Oh. Yeah. He was flashing me all of his red feathers. He wasn't happy. Or she. They. I totally forgot about the cheddar. Oops. I was going to put cheddar in the biscuits. It's a little late to do that. I guess we'll just put cheddar over everything, right? Layers. Layers. Now to turn the rest of this into the dessert dough. Note, I remember there's rosemary in this. It's still going to be our dessert dough with the rosemary in there. But we're also going to add sugar. And a bit more butter. And this is going back in the freezer for a couple of minutes to help cool back down. Let's prep our containers for our... Start preheating our oven too. In fact, I'm putting these in the freezer here too. I think we just overheated the other mic. Or maybe we oversteamed it. Because it's definitely back. Look at one of these here. I think I want to go with the muffin tins. Why are you staring at the cabinet again, camera? I'm over here. Get with the program. I just put the sugar away. I guess we can use this sugar for this. Although I've already gone through this thing again. We're gonna top these off a bit more. Let's see, how do we compare? Perfect. Thinning our sausage gravy out a touch. Add another half cup of water in there. Going to an ad break here. I'm going to take a couple of second breather myself during the ad break. Going to come back and we're going to roll out the dough for dessert and get that into the oven along with our biscuits. The oven is preheating to 400. And I shall see your lovely faces in a couple of minutes. I'm going to do AFK here while the ads run.
I'm a guitar and I have strings. I like to play while someone sings. Hi, gang. Do you recognize this mouse guitar? It's just like the one the Mouseketeers gave me. And now Mattel Toy Makers, the people who made my mouse guitar, have a big surprise for you. You can have your very own mouse guitar just like mine. And look, I wrote out all the instructions so you can learn to play the songs we play on the show. Remember, gang, you can now get the mouse guitar wherever toys are sold for only $4. Hey, I almost forgot. Be sure to see the Mouseketeer Junior, too. Just turn the crank and it plays the Mouseketeer theme song. The Mouseketeer Junior is only $1.80. Be sure to look for this label, gang. You can tell it's Mattel. It's swell.
If you've ever been to Venice, you remember the gondolas and the picturesque waterways. And you remember the food, too. Superb food, prepared with that very special Italian touch. The same special Italian touch that Chef Boyardee sauce with meat can give to your meals over here. Because the recipe for this tangy sauce has been brought over from Italy by this famous Italian chef. Chef Boyardee sauce with meat is made from juicy, sun-ripened tomatoes and tender, quality beef, simmered in a spicy sauce that makes a rice and cheese loaf, a casserole, or a spaghetti dish a real Italian-style dish. So when you'd like to add that special Italian touch to your dinner, do it with Chef Boyardee sauce with meat. Try Chef Boyardee sauce with mushrooms, too. Both are prepared from the chef's own Italian recipe.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye bird, your guarantee of top-quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye orange juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Schmidt's Blue Ribbon Bread gives you 7 ounces of non-fat milk solids in every loaf, the equal of 90 quarts a year if you serve it regularly. Every sandwich you make, every snack, gives you extra milk. For wonderful flavor combined with sound food values, serve Schmidt's Blue Ribbon Bread in the pantry pack.
I'll be back. Let's continue on with dough. Let's continue on with some dough. We have our sweetened dough here. It's our oven coming to temp. I have it set to 400. I'm going to take these. These are still pretty hefty for this. Layer these just over the top of these caramelized apples, cooked with the rosemary in them, and then we get the rosemary in the dough as well. Then for the biscuits, I am just going to get those a little bit of half and half on top. I wasn't planning on smothering these biscuits. I might do a little flake salt on top of them. But I'm planning on smothering them, and so yeah, I think that's not necessary with both of these going in the oven. Double check the time on the biscuits, even though I cut them my own size, so I don't know. We're going to give them 20 minutes. Do a little cleanup here to start. Get a couple of these bowls knocked out and out of the way. That still didn't come all clean. Hey, Mimic. You caught me just after I put everything in the oven. We got biscuits in the oven. We got rosemary apple tart tatin in the oven. I got sausage in front of me. I got sausage gravy, sausage and cream gravy on the stove. I thought about putting the rosemary in with the sausage gravy, but I thought the rosemary in the biscuits itself was enough for the dish. Is there anyone out there upset that I didn't put rosemary in the sausage cream gravy? No? Good. Okay. Sausages are set. What we got going on over here? You're off, you're low, but still working. We need to clean you out. I'm going to add some paprika to this. Just because I think it could use a little color. So I put the next cutting glass stream in the schedule for Friday. Before Friday stream here. So hopefully we're going to start off on Friday by checking once more, seeing if I want to do any last second grinding, which I don't want to have to get that grinder going again, so we're going to say no, hopefully, to that. I'm then going to clean all of them, remove the paper that I got on them for using it as my grinding and all of that, and so we'll have our first look at it as just bare glass, and then I will start foiling all of them. I have copper tape foil with a black back to it. You can get a black back to it, or you can just go straight copper. I don't know if they sell it with like a silver like backing to it or not. But I'm going to use the black stuff because I want to turn the soldering black on the current design. So how we all doing tonight? What's new? What's exciting? Anyone got anything new to report? What we got in the food news section? Ice cream shops, and more ice cream shops. Oh, other news for me was I wasn't exactly awoken to it, but the 8 o'clock, my phone going crazy with earthquake alert was certainly a wake you up in the morning event. There was apparently a 5.6. It was initially reported as a 6, but I think it was a 5.6 in Mendocino, so next county north. According to the map, it showed that the shaking here was equivalent to somewhere between a 2 and a 3. I didn't even feel it. I did notice I do have a very thin, pole lamp, and I have a couple of straps on the monitor for the cutting glass stream that I have the monitor held up with actual proper straps, and the straps and the pole light were swaying just ever slightly. I wasn't sure if that was for me rushing into the main intersection of the house where it's probably the most secure, or because it was actually swaying that much. I didn't feel anything really myself. Which compared to the I think it was a 3.3, 3.6, something like that I felt in LA the first earthquake that I felt in my life. That was a little bit more of a wake. That was a little bit like, oh, this is sort of like being on a train. See here, want to re-look into something here, but I did look that up. Okay. News. Second last day of school. Ooh. Hey, Jana. We got another 4.5 on everything in the oven. We've got biscuits baking. We've got mini tarte tatons cooking. And birds are getting feisty. It's getting dusk. They're all going in for their final dinner of the evening. I haven't seen anything close. I have a video from probably 5+ years ago, if not longer, 10 years ago, outside of that window when I first started putting a hummingbird feeder out there, where there was quite seriously 4 hummingbirds, all 4 feeders, with 2 or 3 circling around, waiting for something to open up. I haven't seen it nearly that busy ever since. That's gotta be such a lie. I'm realizing now that there is a brand out there selling, like, there's a whole big push of beef tallow out there with the most recent U.S. administration. That dude that sounds like he's half dead running our health department, suggesting beef fats for everything. And so there's apparently a Wagyu beef tallow company, which, really, you're gonna render Wagyu? What? What, are you taking the other fats from that? But they have to be doing like 99% normal beef fat with the tiniest little bit of actual Wagyu that they can actually claim that it's in there. Like, it makes no sense. Like, they're gonna sell every last scrap of fat and meat that you can find off of a real Wagyu raised beef cattle. That makes no sense. And turn the flame off on the gravy. We're going to move that to the back for the moment. steak. So we got some decent poofage on these. I'm a little less impressed with the actual There's our biscuits. I was a little hopeful or a little bit more of a rise out of those than I got. I'm half tempted to... No, those aren't going back anymore. And then we got some decent rise out of these too. Like, these were not out of the tin that much when I put them in there originally. Next project is trying to turn those over. And onto what is a good question. Let's see if we can't risk fitting these on this. Those didn't turn out looking half bad. There's a little bit of stickage. But those look like they turned out pretty good. We'll let those rust and then transfer them to a different plate. Okay, to finish sausage biscuits. I'm taking the tops off of 4 of these. And we'll go to a plate with our bottoms. We're gonna warm up our sausage. I guess that's other news we can talk about. We have in recently the release specs on the Steam Cube, which looks, I mean, it's going to be expensive. I think it was in the $1,600 ballpark, which... If you're comparing it to a pre-built, maybe. Otherwise, probably not. And the other news is that I sort of suspected this already. Like, I was actually sort of expecting it to maybe be pricier and people be even more annoyed. They've announced that GTA 6 is going to be $80 and $100 if you want the, like, real full version. They've also announced that GTA 6, whether you get a so-called, whether you buy the box or not, you are not getting physical media. If you buy the box for GTA 6, you get a download code in the box. Yeah, that's almost like par for, you know, right now. Like, the most recent Age of Empires was $100. I think it was $120 with, you know, the first DLC or something. Like, that's sort of where games are now, unfortunately. I honestly sort of expected it to be 100 and 120, but 80 and 100 is... We're now going to smother these with our gravy. I could smother it in cheese and melt it all. I could put a couple eggs on top of there. But I think I am going to stick just with that. That leaves me enough for another one of these, and an extra sauce, and an extra biscuit. And then we got these lovely things for dessert. Let's move these over here for a moment. No, I don't want to move them over there. I guess we'll move them back here. I didn't even add any booze in with the apples. Like, that's just tasty. Like rosemary in there. Nice. Good stuff. Do I add more liquid to my gravy and just absolutely look like it's even more smothered? But, I mean, the only difference between this and, like, a diner's is more water. Hi, Alex. Yeah, no, we'll go from this corner. Happy with the looks of both of these dishes tonight. Sort of wish I had a little more color on the tops of our biscuits. We've got some decent color on the bottoms of them, so I'm okay with that golden brown bottom. We just got a pale milky top. And this has been our Rosemary ingredient challenge dinner. For those just joining in, we've got rosemary infused biscuits with a sausage cream gravy, a thick sausage cream gravy. There's a piece of sausage in with each of these. These are almost like mini sandwiches, but they're not. I don't know. Eat them at your own risk. And then we have our rosemary apple tart tatin, or mini tatons. Those are apples that were cooked down with a bit of lime, a whole bunch of sugar, and infused with rosemary while they were cooking. And then topped with a pastry-like dough made from the leftover scraps of our biscuit dough, and which also has rosemary in it. So there's rosemary in the dough for the bottom of these too. I added some sugar and some extra butter to those. I will let you know how all of it turns out and how it all tasted in the Discord. We do have a new vote going in the Discord, speaking of the Discord, for next week. It looks like Sesame might actually have a chance for once. We have Sunny D versus Sesame for next week on next week's ingredient challenge. But I think this is where I am going to leave things for this fine evening. I shall be back here on Friday. In the morning, I'm going to be wrapping glass on Cutting Glass, my new stained glass streaming channel here on Twitch, YouTube, and on Kick, maybe, if I can get Kick to start working. Would love to get Vertical to start working on Twitch, too. I think it worked on YouTube this morning. We will see. We'll be back here with continuing work on the current project on Cutting Glass. And then in the evening, I'm going to be doing theme redemption for our Clipper of the Month, video Clipper of the Month. I'm going to be doing Swedish meatballs with potato waffles. That just sounds sinful to me. Sunday, we have Indiana. Even more comfort food coming up here for Indiana. I'm going to be doing... I know it's iconic for Indiana to do the pork tenderloin sandwich that is enormous pork cutlet to a tiny little bun. I'm not going to do that, I am sorry to report. I'm going to do one of my favorite dishes on earth. I'm going to do a roast beef Manhattan, which was created apparently by a bunch of New York workers in Indiana back in the day. Yes, fridge goes to... Hopefully that was the last time you got to see this fridge. And I will have a fridge that doesn't keep things at 50 degrees on Friday. I wish you all a wonderful finish to your week. I hope you've had a good week so far to begin with. Let's see who's out there on Twitch. I'm not hugely in the raiding mood, though. I don't think we're going to raid. No, I'm going to keep it right there. I wish you all a wonderful finish to your week. See you back here on Friday.